Good day, hi, and welcome. All right, before we get into this, whenever you're picking a genre, I gotta start. I'm gonna start repeating this. Is that you want to pick a genre that you're going to be more dedicated to. So maybe you're a wedding photographer, maybe you're an automotive photographer, maybe you're a rock band photographer, maybe you're a news press photographer, fashion photographer, whatever you might want to be going for. It usually pays to specialize. Trying to be a jack of all trades can be a bit tricky. I am more interested in the fun of it than the actual, making a lot of money at it. But if you want to do it professionally, you usually want to pick a genre. But one of the things is when you do pick your genre, why some of your best photos will never ever be, you won't be able to sell them. It's not because the photo isn't good a lot of the times. A lot of the times the photo might have a problem with it in the sense of logos. So let's say you've got your model, okay, and the model is a stunning model. She can this just to let you know, this is one of my top selling photos, believe it or not, and that was taken on a fluke. But let's say one of your photo, she's wearing, like, say, a brand shirt. Okay, so you got this fantastic photo, but you can't sell it because the shirt in itself, okay, is advertisement, and because of that, a lot of stock agencies, they can't take anything with a logo. Or, for example, if what I've recently discovered is vehicles like cars and stuff like that. If they're the center focus of the photo, sometimes they won't take it. But the point here is that you do a little bit of research, you'll find out that when you are trying to sell your photos, sometimes some of your, like this photo, for example, I couldn't sell it because it focuses in on the car. But I couldn't sell it at one place, but you might be able to sell it somewhere else. So look around. The things I would look into is talking to editors of specific publications and stuff like that. Now, all these photos go back to about 2003, 2004, whatever, with my Nikon D100. So some of these photos that you see are already on, stock imagery or whatever, selling there. But these photos, what things like flowers, for example, almost everybody takes stunning pictures of flowers all over the place. So almost nobody wants pictures of flowers for the stock agencies because that's all they get, right? They're just like, we have enough flowers. Unless they're absolutely stunning, don't even bother sending them. Sometimes you get that, but try anyway, because you never know. Almost everything here that I'm showing you is on a stock agency, big stock photos who I use. There's a whole bunch of them out there. If you have suggestions of which stock agencies work the best and pay the most, rising tide floats all boats, and just share that with everybody. That's the whole point of these videos, is to get everybody on, give everybody an opportunity. But when you're composing your photo, keep in mind of logos. You'd be surprised, the smallest little thing, the brake caliper on a motorcycle might say Brembo on it, and just little things like that. So then you end up having to Photoshop a whole bunch of stuff, which makes more work and stuff like that, which is okay in itself. But if you can compose your photo without putting any logos or anything that it could be deemed as advertising, you can save yourself a lot of work. And these are just some of the things. That said, it also, depending on what genre you're shooting in, it could also be wise to just really plan out what your shots are going to be. So, for example, if you have models, make sure they don't wear anything with a logo on it. That can kind of throw you off a bit. So you have this stunning photo that you can't use anywhere. Now, news photography might be a little bit different. They tend to do whatever. But let's say like street photography, where you're walking down the street and you got a picture of a whole bunch of people. Well, sometimes those type of photos you can't sell because you can clearly identify people, and without permission from each person on there, you can't use it. But sometimes, let's say you're going by a construction site and you got a couple of construction workers with their backs turned to you, whatever, and doing something. Well, you can't identify that person. Sometimes you can get away with stuff like that. But some people are very uncomfortable about strangers just taking pictures, random pictures of them too. So keep that in mind. But if you do happen to use a model or something like that, I have a couple of models, but that I've used, but I never got the consent form. Most stock agency photo will have consent forms, and if you have the consent forms, you upload like one photo shoot. You say you take 300 shots in that one photo shoot, or something like that, or whatever it's going to be. 5 shots, 3 shots, 5,000 shots, whatever it's going to be. You basically sign the model release for one session, that type of thing. So you can see on like the dashboard here where I had to, censor out the Honda logo, that type of thing. So they just sort of to break in like that, but you get the idea. But the idea is that some of your best photos won't sell because of copyright or because of permission to view people. Now, you'd probably say to yourself, well, how do you get these magazines, say like National Geographic, which takes a picture of like an open street with 1,000 people in that you can clearly identify everybody in the photo, and how do they get away with it? Well, I don't know how the rules work for them, but things like that are kind of strange sometimes, that they do get the opportunities to do that. How they get away with it, I don't know. That type of thing. But when you're first starting out, it's probably best try to avoid any sort of logos or anything that will, pretty much, give reference to something that could be construed as either copyright or advertising or what have you. So just be mindful of that stuff. And then when you are picking your models, like for example, this Honda motorcycle here, you can see I have all the Honda stuff, but the Brembo brake got me. I couldn't. I thought I got everything, but the Brembo, and I spent I don't know how much time on that Honda trying to make sure I got every little logo. But it just, at the end of the day, it was just. It was fruitless efforts, you know what I mean? So anyway, I guess I'll leave it at about that. But you get the idea. Be careful when you're taking photos of things, to avoid having to do more work than is necessary, or to have all your work be completely spoiled. Now that said, wherever you're going to sell your photos, whether it's online or you're actually shopping it to editors of magazines or whatever it might be, do your research first. Basically, contact the people or read their whole platform, because 99% of the time, just in their rules and their rule guidelines will tell you what you should and shouldn't do. And so some of your best photography, unfortunately, will never see the light of day. One thing I like about doing these videos is I can throw some photography. Some of my wedding photography I thought was really good, but because of close friends and stuff like that, I didn't want to, I don't think they would appreciate me showing them off. But nonetheless, like one of my favorite bride photos is of my friend. She's sitting in a rocking chair drinking a Labatt 50, and it's just the best wedding photo, like bride photo I've ever taken, and I just enjoy it so much, and I wish I could share it with you guys, but I know she wouldn't appreciate it shared to the world. So that's some of the things you got to consider. So consent, logos, advertising. These are the things that you gonna have to work around. So that's why some of your best photos may not ever see the light of day. But that said, good luck to you, and I'll leave it at that, and have a great day, eh?